I have a very serious call to order. Welcome to the Perceiver of Sound League Sound Research Studio Series at Elsewhere Living Art Museum here on South Elm Street, south of the tracks, Greensboro, y'all, where we make sounds about making sounds. I'm Gavin Glass, and if you have any questions, just ask. Today's topic is frequency, which is basically a number for how fast a thing goes back and forth. Okay, I got a joke for you. How can you tell when a sound is a really high frequency? Anybody? Because it hurts! Hertz. Yeah, seriously, Hertz, abbreviated HZ, is the number of times something vibrates in a second. Hertz just means the number of times something vibrates in what? 1 second. But before we get on that wavelength, Aurora, echo, we'll tune in to our invisible guests.
Please direct your attention to the banner on this wall across from me. Om, yes. Let the studies that we undertake together be radiant, effulgent, prosperous, beneficial. Let there be no animosity amongst us. Om, peace, peace. Peace. We're going to start with the first part of that, Om. You can make whatever sound you want, actually. On the count of 3, let's all make an utterance, some kind of offering to the moment, whatever you want, and just let it sustain. And then we'll turn it back over to Gavin. 1, 2, 3.
There are a few tenants of participation that are in accordance here, because this is a living art museum. Everything, all the objects here are meant to be used. There are some instruments underneath your chairs. I see a drum over there, there's a guitar over there, there's a baby piano, a xylophone. You play your thighs as a percussion. You can use your humming and your singing. We're going to encourage you to do that as well. There won't be hardly any conclusions or destinations this evening. We might not even have an intention of a goal or a destination. Thusly, in the pursuit of the unknown, folly is inevitable. Can you hear the silence behind the sound? The bedrock of all being. We honor the silence. From the primordial void come the images, thoughts, and emotions that arise, seemingly purposeless, but oh, such meaning and value yet to be determined. sharing is encouraged, and not sharing is also sharing your emptiness, your presence is participation.
Well, in this session, we're going to consider the question, are there special frequencies in the audio spectrum that have extra sauce, extra mojo, juju, juice, or a cosmic connection to the underlying realities of the universal essence? Why couldn't you just tune into some frequency like a radio does and receive information or energy or cosmic honey? Well, we're not going to try to figure out if this is true or not. We just want to play around with the idea and see where it leads. If you look at a piano keyboard, the notes on the right hand have a higher frequency than the notes on the left hand. Your middle C is around 262 Hertz. Well, it's really up to you where you put C. You can put it anywhere, but that's if, at the end of the day, most of your pianos are going to have that C around 262 Hertz. To give you a reference point, okay, so the middle C is 262. The next C down is going to be half of that frequency. So what's half of 262? 131. Yeah, 131. So that's also called C, even though they're two different frequencies. So that's very interesting. And if you half or double, it's still called the same note. So another reference point, what's 1 Hertz? That means it happens 1 time per second. It's basically adult resting heart rate. And so 1 Hertz, if you think about that, is your heart. And then if you go faster and faster, it gradually, you know, from a bump, 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 gradually becomes a tone. And then when it comes up above like 60 to 100 Hertz, we start hearing like a bass note. Well, first on tonight, we have philosopher and sound healer Alexander Tuttle. He knows a lot about music, sound, subtle energies, and astrology, so he brings a lot to the table, and we hope to have him back on the series to discuss more aspects of sound later. And I'll let Gavin do the honors of the real introduction here while I set up his mic here.
You just heard from the formidable founder of the Perceiver of Sound Leak series, the great Gary Height. My pal Alexander is an alternative holistic health service provider and personal coach. His mission is growing consciousness through self-awareness, self-accountability, breaking habits, subtle energy awareness, understanding polarities, and so much more. You find him on Facebook at Journeys Unite. I just joined him in a sonic sound bath and ecstatic dance experience in Winston last week, and utterly amazing cutting edge opportunities as he's providing on the Triad here. Check him out on the Wise podcast. That's spelled WISEWHYS. Wise. His website is thejustphilosophy.com. Without further ado, the awesome Alexander Tuttle.
Thank you, Gavin. Thank you, Gary. It's an honor to be here to share with you people tonight. I got just a brief view of what they're going to be doing even after I speak, and it's going to be some really cool stuff. We're going to get into some certain frequencies. What I'm going to bring to the table is a little twist. I've been studying frequencies from a healing standpoint for over 25 years, and what I've learned through all of the study of individual frequencies is the importance of union, which means intervals in music. intervals are what chords are made of. And so everything started having a communication vibe to me. So I started off as a sound healer, wanting to help people with sound and frequencies and music, but it's morphed over the years to turn into really a communication interest, because everything, whether we view it as positive or negative, happens from our perception, not the actuality of what's happening, but just our perception of what's happening. And wherever we have resistance, we lower our vibe, so to say, and wherever we're in resonance, we're raising that vibe. So one of the most powerful tools in sound healing, from my perspective, is the way that we use our perception. And to understand that the more stern we are on anything, the more opposition we attract due to the laws of physics. See, everything grows through the art of friction. The act of a male and female making love to have a child, the sprout bursting through an acorn, the caterpillar turning into a butterfly. Growth is found in the friction. When we go through things in our lives that isn't pleasant, we normally come out much wiser on the other end. And when things are good and going really well in our lives, we can tend to be lazy and stop learning as much. So I like to have a phrase to remind myself of lean into the friction of life. Let's stop running from these emotions, stop running from awkward situations. Lean into them, see them as a teacher rather than an obstacle. And this comes to relationships with people as well. That in the beginning, when I started being a public speaker and working with private clients, I kind of had an attitude of I have a certain way to deliver something and some people are going to get it and some people aren't. But as I continued to work with that, I developed a style where I became more and more responsible for people's understanding if information is coming from my mouth. So I stopped caring how I would give information, and I started focusing on communication. And that when I work with a Christian, I want to talk about Jesus. If I work with a Buddhist, I want to talk about Buddha. I've studied them all. I love them all. So I stopped my preference of language so that I can speak in a way to whoever I'm speaking to, they can be in resonance with me. Because if you stay too stern to your language, you may not only create a wedge between you and that person, but you can create a wedge between that person and that subject. So communication became more and more important to me. Then another little secret that I love to pass around to people is when you are working on communicating with people, pay attention to their eyebrows. When a person's eyebrows go down, they've stopped receiving. They're in their head many times. When the eyebrows go up, they're back to receiving. So if you're talking to somebody and you even see a twitch down, try to find another way to say it. Just simply say, or you could say it like this, or you could say it like this. Normally if you give it 2 or 3 tries, you'll get those eyebrows to go up. And many times they'll look up, and that's normally a sign of people receiving information. It's when they look up. That's why people think many times they'll look up while they're searching for that answer. So the importance on frequencies is we all carry a frequency bank, so to say. And when we come within 6 to 8 feet of each other, we're affecting each other. Some people it's very drastically. In my private practice, I work with an astrological system called the Human Design. And it gives you a printout of your chakra system, and it helps you to understand which centers are activated and you're putting energy out into the world, and which centers you're more empathic. So I work with a lot of people that say that they're empaths, but they don't know if they're a mental empath or an emotional empath or a psychic empath. There's many different types of empaths. You see, the more that we understand our frequencies, and from my perspective, how we were divinely guided to be, rather than how we were trained and taught to be by our family and our society, we come back into a more harmonious state. Everybody in my life that I've met that really carries a certain level of contentment or happiness, the one thing that seems to be consistent is that they are following a calling that they feel led to do. And that may or may not be in accordance to the way they were raised or the thing that they went to school for. So many people have what's called midlife crisis when they're really searching for their identity, their true identity. And these are our frequencies that we carry. So pay attention to a phrase that I like to use, that truth doesn't need to be proven. When you're speaking on something and it's your truth, if it's truly your truth and you're clear in that, then anybody else can have any other opinion that they care, and you can carry on a conversation because you're not being challenged. And if you can't take other people's perceptions, then you may not be as clear in your so-called truth as you say or feel that you are. So this is a way that I like to suggest with emotions to be our greatest teachers. Because if you're speaking with somebody and they have an alternate view and your heart rate starts going up, ask yourself why that is. Why can't you accept someone else's view and you be in the view that you're carrying? This is true sound healing from my perception. Because see, it's about how long you can hold on to a vibration. So see, I enjoy these tools, and we're going to have some experiences tonight that's going to be really cool. To have these experiences of frequencies taking you to certain places, or meditations that can take you to certain places. But the problem is most people can't hold it and be connected to everyday people. So that's kind of the next level, is being able to have these experiences, but then be able to hold that vibration when you walk outside and intermingle with other people. And see, the more that you get frustrated at the life and the way that it is, then you're supporting their vibration. That's the thing. If you let something get to you, or so what somebody said get to you, you're supporting dissonance. To where if you stay in another level of acceptance, and understand that acceptance does not mean condoning or approving of. It's very similar to if it rains and I'm going to have a party outside, I can either get mad and upset that it's raining, I can cancel my event, I can do many different things, or I can take my shoes off and get barefooted and go dance in the rain and celebrate, and then change it to everybody. Everybody wants to come and have a gathering in the rain, let's do that. If you don't, then don't come. See, we have that choice with our perception. I've had many people ask me, how do you change your perception? You change your perception through acceptance. But again, acceptance doesn't mean condoning or approving of. It's just that you're accepting in that moment, this is my reality. And I'm not going to be in resistance to that reality. So see, there's getting into specific frequencies. 528 Hertz has been known to be the frequency of love. But what most people get confused is there's an emotional love and there's an unconditional love. 528 Hertz is a C sharp. So unconditional love actually resides between the root chakra and the second chakra. Emotional love resides here in the heart chakra. So in order to be fully grounded and centered in that unconditional love, energy flows from the cosmos through the crown in this direction. We have to be open in that spiritual, the crown center. We have to be calm in the mind. We have to feel as though we speak our truth and we're not resisted. We have to work through all of our heartache. We have to deal with trust and willpower, the third chakra. And any sexual or creative issues we have, we've got to deal with that in the second chakra to get to that root chakra of safety, security, financial freedom. So see, when you feel safe and secure and you don't have financial issues, you're much more likely to be in unconditional love with people. That's that C sharp and that 528 Hertz. I want to pause there and see if we're ready to go to the next phase. Cool.
Oh, Aurora.
What I thought that the last point was very interesting about just putting a note value, saying, hey, C sharp has a direct relationship to it, and that was to unconditional love, you were saying?
Yes.
And the root chakra?
Yeah. Well, the root chakra is note C, or from the Tibetan standpoint G, but that's perfect fifths. So that's why when I work with the energy centers or the chakras, I tend to like to work in pairs, and fifths are the most powerful harmony that there are. So this is why many people know of the root chakra being C, but like I said, the Tibetan system, they use G for that. And it took me a while to understand why that got switched up. So yes, finding a way to, for me, rather than the specific frequency, it is the vision and the tone. And see, when we tone something, it's not a sine wave, it's not a specific frequency. So what I like is I like that wash. That's nature. Nature washes. Nothing in nature is a specific frequency, but it fluctuates. So as we're learning these frequencies, and at the event that Gavin was speaking of, I played music tuned to 432 Hertz. This is the frequencies that I work in mostly, rather than A equaling 440. And I gave a little handout of when it got changed back around World War II or so. But I wanted to give people an experience of hearing music slowed down, and I did this on vinyl records and then recorded it to tape. So this was all as pure analog music as you could have, and giving people the opportunity to move to that tuning system. And then I did a live sound journey with instruments from all over the world after that in a stillness. So both always uniting the harmonies of stillness and movement. That's why last time I was here, the answer is almost always yes and no.
Right.
It depends on the variable to almost any question in the world.
Does anybody have any questions or anything they'd like to add to the hearing? Not to be put on the spot. It's totally open. I'll ask another. So something that comes to mind, because I hear what you're talking about with a non-dual perspective, right? It doesn't have to be this extreme or that extreme. It's a spectrum, and all of it has a beneficial potentiality.
Yeah. So it is the separation between duality and polarity. This is the plane of polarity, but duality is a choice. Polarity simply means that for whatever is created, the opposite is important as well. So this is why even with medication, it works for many people, but it's not going to work for everyone. That's been proven with penicillin. It's saved millions of people, but it's also killed some people. So with any issue in nature, the antidote is always God-given within the vicinity of the issue. So choosing that view of acceptance is seeing life through the view of frequencies and polarity, that everything is necessary. So see, the more that I make a stand about any subject in this life, the more I help create somebody else to make as equally an opposing stand.
Right.
That's the way that physics works in energetics. So I'm not saying don't make a stand. What I'm saying is there's no need for emotions in making your stand. Make your stands, but be confident, be sure, and allow others their truth, because people change their minds through seeing a very comfortable person in opposition. I've never seen someone change their perception by being yelled at or told that they need to change their perception. But that's yet and still how our culture and many cultures try to affect change in this world. So just mainly paying attention to bring it to shorter words into whether we're part of creating friction or we're part of bringing some friction to some harmony. And by no means am I saying to be weak or just passive all the time, because acceptance isn't just passive. Sometimes you have to work hard internally to accept who or whatever's in front of you. So this isn't a passive view, it's a very active view, just internally active as opposed to externally active.
Well, thank you very much. There's a little secret. Let's give it up for Alexander Tuttle.
Yeah.
We heard your thing, so really want to send out a lot of gratitude to Elsewhere for having us. Thank you to everybody for joining us. And this is going to be a monthly event for quite some time, so please come back and take more adventures with us. Now,
Yeah, just to remind you, for those of you that weren't here, or if you forgot what the subject was last week, it was mantra and its frequency this week, and I think it's to be determined what it's going to be.
Oh, next month is going to be great. We're going to have Jason Bivens, who wrote the book Spirits Rejoice. It's like the best book about free jazz, and he's a professor of religion at North Carolina State. And Vittel Cherry, who's a great free jazz bass player, who's played with a lot of greats, and they're going to talk about free improvised music. The practitioners of this music, they just call it the music. And so that's what the name of next month's show is, The Music. And so we're going to learn a little bit about what that's about.
That's all, it's just the music.
no big deal.
Thank you, Alexander, taking furious notes. That was amazing. What we're going to do now is called a frequency bath. And this first version is our practice. This might not be the time to do this, but I have this cool app. I'm going to take it from 0 Hertz. Sort of hurts on those. Oh, there's my joke. Gary wrote it for me. It's his joke. Okay, so there's a threshold below and above on the Hertz spectrum that we cannot hear. In the middle is what we can determine. And we're going to play around. So let's stick our toes into the frequency bath. Stick our fingers into it, stick our nose in there. And we're going to check out a couple frequencies here by playing them. And by playing with them. First, we're going to demonstrate some techniques. Then after, our next presenter will use this approach to try out several frequencies, and we'll see if we have any reaction. Okay, so no pressure on this first part. We're just going to go through some practice and play. No better place than elsewhere to play, right? All right, so let's take a frequency of, let me just pull it right out of the page in front of me. 417. Hertz. Go good. This is one of the famous solfeggio frequencies. You can call it an A if you want to, but it's almost a half step down from concert A, but of course concert A is negotiable. Now if you listen to this frequency all by itself, it sounds harsh. I was expecting harsher, but you know. I mean, compared to what Gary usually plays, this is harsh. Okay, so that's a sine wave, and as Alexander says, I don't think that really exists in nature. Okay, that's an artificial sound. But as Gary said, if you have a double or half the frequency, it's the same note. We call that an octave. If we mix in a couple lower octaves, the note sounds a lot nicer. So play me a 417 and drop in a lower octave there, Gary man. Asking me, but it's hitting me at several different places and just on my body, not to mention my mind and my emotions. Most notes we hear from instruments are actually a mixture of many frequencies. All right, now we're going to play it for a whole minute, so brace yourselves, but then relax yourselves. Because again, we want to steep yourself in the sound. Allow it to truly affect you. From head to toe, from your nose, breathe it in. For the first part, we're just listen. Listen for about 20 seconds or so. and maybe try to match the note quietly in your head. But when I give the signal, you'll know what the signal is. I'll make it up then. We can all open up and sing the note as loud or as quiet as we want. The best way to really experience them is to sing the same note or to hum it, to get your body vibrating at the same note. But if you just feel like listening, that's fine. Now, if you do sing or hum it, I suggest that you roll it around in your belly. Ground yourself first for your lower chakra, your feet flat on the floor. But allow that belly to resonate. Bring it up to your heart and throat. Roll it around in your head. You can use your mantra or just sing the vocals. Every mantra,
The vowels.
excuse me, thank you. Or just sing the vowels, because every vowel is a mantra on its own. First, we'll cleanse the palate with some silence. We're gonna do that. We'll do that when we do it for reals. We can skip the silence right now. Okay, so let's, Gary, go ahead and hit it with the frequency, and I'll give you the signal when we'll sing along or hum to it, but just allow yourself to receive. So that's just to start to attenuate ourselves to the frequency and get practice into getting into resonance with it. And we will have 3 more opportunities for reels.
Yeah, we're gonna do one backs with 3 of them in a row, and then we'll pick which one we like the best.
Exactly.
But next I want to introduce my friend Lipbone Redding. He is a modern troubadour, and if you know about troubadours, then you know there's more than meets the eye. He has spent a great deal of time in our dimension, and he finds it amusing. When he is not touring the world in a beautiful flying machine or releasing albums for his fans, he's podcasting great communal group healings disguised as concerts. He's currently the artist in residence at St. Anne's Retreat, where he's helping to produce the Profound Sound Retreat series. Also a top-notch performer, a singular singer, and a wonderful and prolific songwriter. Take it away, Lipbone.
All right. Wow. Thank you. That was quite an introduction. And I have a disclaimer. I'm fully unprepared for tonight. Gary informed me at the last minute that I was going to be presenting some idea, but I'll just talk about
our Buto dancers' transmission broke down in Hershey, Pennsylvania.
The Buto dancers are somewhere in
Let's hear it for Lipbone, everybody.
New Jersey. My pleasure. So I'm just going to talk about what I do and what I found, because as Alexander was saying, I mean, the truth is a paradox, and there's no better way to see that within the sound community than by going on the internet. You know, like there's people who have these frequencies that they swear this is the one that does this thing for you, and you'll get all A's and you'll study to this frequency and you're going to get real smart, and then this is for your gallbladder and all this, which it may be very well be. And you know, at our community in Tarboro, we have sound healers, we have people who are like use tuning forks to do healing sessions and stuff. And it's pretty amazing. I mean, I've been under the fork myself a few times, and it's quite, you know, remarkable. You feel really unblocked, I think is the word I would use. And so I think that's what inspired me to, I lead a meditation with music every Wednesday night. It's a live meditation. I also do a live stream. And then I lead one on Sunday afternoon. And so I do a little, you know, oftentimes, you know, I'll pick a frequency, for example. Like this is around 296. It's a D, and that's if you tune your A to 444. A lot of people tune 440, right? That's so everybody can be on the same page if you're in a big orchestra. But when you're just one person, you have the freedom to just kind of mess around. Or if you have a friend who has a keyboard with an adjustable tuning on it, you can say, hey, can you go on 444 as well? And then we can go hit all the keys, and then you can add a mantra. So like this. So I started to I get people in there. It's like I'm here, all of a sudden I'm in this position to try different things, because I didn't really, you know, like I said, the truth is a paradox, and I spend way too much time on the internet looking these things up and trying to inform myself, and everybody says something different. And so I said, well, there's only one way to kind of do it, you know, figure it out, and it's go try all these different things. So I would pick a frequency and I'd bring it to my meditation, and then I would just kind of informally poll a few people at the end, like, how did that make you feel? You know, what was that about? And I have to say, I had some really marked responses. So here's the thing: if you tune your A to 444, if you tune to 432, your C is going to be a C sharp. But if you tune it to 444, 528 is a C proper. It's just like the people's key, you know. So I would try those different tunings and those different frequencies, and just to see what people, how they reacted. And I noticed that one of the ones that they really, here, can you hand me that guy right there? You see, I'm totally unprepared, and so. Give me just the A. Regular 444? Yeah, 444 A. No. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, right, there you go. So, you know, I would do something like this. Close your eyes and just check it out for a second. your breath. And then take a deep breath. Hold it and exhale. Take another deep breath. I don't know how you're supposed to feel. You know how you feel, but you could do that, and then I would do another sort of. Let's see. This will be a C. The 528 that we were talking about, which is this. They say it's this. Frequency of this unconditional love. This mantra works really well somehow with this frequency as the root, and that mantra, by the way, means may all beings everywhere be happy and free, and may my thoughts, words, and actions contribute to that freedom for all beings in all times, in all places. Loka samasta Sukina Bhavantu. So I'm not, like I said, I'm not sure. Thank you. I'm not sure how you're supposed to actually feel. This is just me. So here's my theory. That you have all this empirical data that's all around us. Everyone's got all the information. We live in this sort of empirical dominator society that has, if you don't do it by the numbers, we need an authority to tell us we're right and wrong. Well, not everybody in this room, of course, but like this seems to be the norm. And the way I view it is that a human being and what a human being actually is we're extremely sophisticated feeling machines, right? Like our emotion, we're powered by our emotions. All this other stuff is almost like a construct, a virus or something that we've, contracted and then developed so that we can communicate, in these different languages, you know. What do they say? No language survives conversation, right? Except for Latin and Sanskrit, math and music, right? It's just one of those things. But it's okay to see what it feels like, I think is my point with all of this. And I have this ongoing experiment now for 2 years where people will come and I'll just, you know, I don't purport to heal anyone particularly. I just purport to be this sort of biofeedback unit in a mass sort of setting. I say mass, there's usually like 12 or 13 or this many people at one of our meditations. But it informs me and it brings me a truth of sorts. And I'm okay with not knowing, and I'm okay with like embracing a mystery and continually striving. Because I change, we all change, everybody changes. So, you know, you want to hold on to this constant, but maybe that it's not a constant. So I figure whatever you tune your instrument to, whatever it is, as long as it feels good, I'm starting to believe that's where it's at. And I have this thing that we do it used to be a festival, and now we do call it a retreat series because we're not trying to get a lot of people. We just want the right people, maybe no more than 100 people. We've got like 26 acres. We have a beautiful old chapel. It's an old 1800s chapel that we use for yoga and sound healing and sound meditation now. And there's camping and, you know, all the good stuff. And so we'll get 100 people together twice a year, and we call it the Profound Sound Retreat Series. And one of the things that we really like to do is something that I started calling it the conspiracy choir, but that was a little bit, I don't know, that might be a loaded term these days. But it really means that we're breathing together. So, let's try it all together here. Basically, the rule is you take a breath and you exhale. We're going to decide on the syllable Om because it's a good universal one. We exhale on Om together, and then the rule is you take a breath, and then you change your pitch. It's up to you. Just listen to everyone else in the room. Listen to what's going on. And usually I like to say it lasts about 5 minutes, but you'll know. So, what do you say? Let's give it a shot?
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun too if you just really tune into the room and to everybody here. So I'll give you the initial one, and you can change. You don't have to go the same length of breath. It's just whatever's comfortable for your lungs, for your breath, for you. And if you feel like making a shooting star, like by all means, please do. You don't have to just try to hold that one tone. Just listen. So. Inhale. When you get to the end of the breath, take another one and proceed on a different note. That's it. No one told you when to stop. You just did. You know, maybe you got tired. Maybe that was it. Had a long day, you know, smoking or whatever. I don't know. But anyway, so thank you guys. That's
Thank you.
Yeah.
I had multiple things come up, and then they all got washed away by that last thing. So that's great. So I mean, that to me is a successful experiment so far, that we can kind of feel something's important or necessary, or maybe that's the vibe, and then you have a better sense of communication, just all reacting in that way. And I think something that comes up a lot for us when we've been talking about this outside of the event is that childlike curiosity, that openness, the crown chakra. I'm open. I'm wanting to be present with my experience. The mind, like I said, peaceful, so that I can have better discernment. But what I noticed you saying has a lot to do with what we did last month, entrainment, resonance. You know, I'm in training to this frequency. It's not a negative or positive inherently, but I'm co-authoring with this. I'm reacting to this, and we're in tandem creating a greater sense of whatever that is. So, both of you guys, what do you think about the saying, where you put your attention grows?
Yeah.
And thoughts that anybody else that has any thoughts about that, if something comes up about that. That's something I just keep coming back to in any practice, whether it's music or communication.
Yeah, and with that growth, I'd like to just give everybody the visual that you have like an energetic meter, and your actions are either charging that meter or depleting that meter. So many times, even in a conversation, just check on your breathing. If your heart rate's up, hey, why are you carrying so much? Why are you not backing off or receiving? Because this may be a time to receive. See, there's times to give, there's times to receive. And sometimes people need to be heard to be willing to shift their perspective.
Yes.
This is why mothers take care of 5-year-olds when they fall and skin their knee and they come and run to the mom. The mom tells them it's going to be okay and tells them normally that they haven't done something bad.
Right. Yes.
See, acceptance right away gives that child the freedom to trust mom when she blows on the knee and tells it it's going to be okay. And mom just did energy work because the child believes in mom. So we can learn a lot about consciousness through observing children.
Totally. Best teacher. Shall we move on to the frequency bat number 2? Or
just my experience sometimes in this circle is that the white men feel very confident to speak first and to share their ideas and get everybody to think about their ideas. And in the thinking about what gets attention grows. Not everybody is going to respond to, well, what do you have to say? So if we could just sit for a moment.
Agreed.
And be quiet and give some room for some quieter voices, for folks that maybe need a little bit more time to process, for folks that maybe want to write down a statement and share it with the group, for maybe anybody else that identifies as a white male to just hold back on sharing our thoughts for a moment and to make room for other things to grow in the space from other perspectives. If anybody has something that they want to share in another form, nonverbal form, through gesture, in written form, just invite you to share, to bring it into the space in whatever way you feel comfortable. and if that's not right now, to find a way to share that at another time. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, now we're going to check out a couple of frequencies here by playing them. Just like the kids do, our inner child children are going to play with these frequencies. Remember our techniques before. We'll run through 3 here with funny names. So listen to catch the frequency. We're not going to tell you what the frequency is. It's going to be blind that way. When I give the signal, we can get louder in our feeling and feel the notes in our bodies. And as Matthew said, there's many ways of expression here. And so feel called to move your body in any way to allow the sound to entrain itself to the frequency that Gary's going to be playing here. So first we're going to cleanse the palate with some silence as soon as I shush, and then we'll play the frequency. Give yourself some time to hear it, and then we'll match it and sing it and hum it, or just listen. But even if you just listen, you can feel the note as well, then we'll get your impressions.
Okay, this first one we'll call it duck. Okay, should we do folder now?
Yeah, this one's folder.
Are you ready? Anybody that gets whiplash from that, all complaints to elsewhere. Sorry. Sorry for whiplash. Okay, here's the last one. Boo. hold the election here.
Okay. We're gonna vote for Duck, Folder, and Boo in that order. So, best way to do it is just raise a hand. People can only vote once, right? Yeah.
For which one we like best?
Yeah.
And which one we want to do for an extended jam now?
That's right. The winner gets to like fill out the rest of the evening and space and time and perpetuity if it's being recorded
I'm
in
down
our
with Duck.
jam. So let's hear it for, by raise of hands, Duck.
Vote once, so.
There was our one brave hand. Okay, what
That
about
was brave. Yeah.
Boulder? I guess we're going to see a lot of hands for Booyakasha.
That's a B flat. If you're tuned to 4/4, if you're tuned to 4/4, that's the minor seventh of A and 4/4/4. So that'd be a B flat.
So now it's now time to reveal what they were.
Yeah, we could do it.
The one that, oh yeah, you can relive.
Yeah, so the Duck, the first one, was frequency 256 Hertz. Okay. And then Folder was 444. My tape. And then the winner was Boo, which was 777. Lucky number 7.
Of course it was. Which is interesting frequency because it's an octave of the day, 24-hour rotation of the Earth. This is about 52 octaves up from that.
So what was Duck? What was the
256.
What is that roughly?
Yeah.
It's a C mode.
It's an octave of the second, and the human heart.
See,
The Duck was the octave of resting human heart rate of the second. So you're okay. Are you guys tuned up?
Yeah.
And
Maybe.
Okay.
anybody? Oh, where's my piece of paper? Oh yeah, I was going to tell anybody who has a tunable instrument.
Oh, yeah.
If you want to play this tone, tune your A to 437 and play a G.
Jack, you have a xylophone underneath there. Where's that baby piano go? There it is. Drum. There's a drum over there, Cass.
oh, yeah. That doesn't work.
Oh, you have a badass instrument right behind y'all.
Please feel free to grab anything you see off the shelf, anything in the museum, and find ways to use them as
Yeah, for real.
You can grab some stuff out of the kitchen.
That's perfect for two.
This is called the cabinet of cacophony.
Yeah, I love it. Yes, there you go.
You could do 777.
Although I do have an octave. Here, I got something for you.
Playing my habit of killer 777.
Okay, everybody ready?
when you told me like I was
Okay, good.
there's a snare there. There's a snare?
Shall I get the perturb button?
Om Shanti. Your homework for the next month is to reclaim your divine frequency and live it every day and report back with good tidings in a month.